So at the beginning of this year, I posted a video where I outlined my 7 writing goals for 2023. And since we're already halfway through the year, I figured this would be a great opportunity to do a mid-year goal update. I'm Tristan Corkin and I'm a writer. If you go on to like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel, and hit the bell icon for alerts. Let's get to the update. So my first goal for the year was to write 25 blog posts. I have a blog where I contribute regularly and I post different posts about theology, Bible study, and Christian books. In the past, I have done posts weekly, but this year I've decided to do bi-weekly, so every other week. I've written 4 book reviews. I've written 4 posts about different common theological questions that come up in today's day and age, in today's culture. And then I've also written 4 Bible study posts on 4 of Jesus' 7 I am statements in the Gospel of John. So far I'm doing pretty well on that goal. I'm pretty halfway through, and I'm probably going to write another book review this week, which will bring me to 13. So I think I'm doing pretty well on that goal so far. My second writing goal was to submit 10 articles for publication to other Christian ministries or magazines or blogs, and so far I've submitted 7 different submissions, so I'm doing pretty well. I am ahead of the game. I haven't done a submission in a really long time, so it probably is about time I should submit something else. I haven't had a lot come from it yet, but I did hear back from the Daily Grace Co., which is a Christian Bible study and Bible study resource company, that they are going to be publishing one of my articles in one of their upcoming magazines, so I'm super excited about that. I'll probably be sharing some more information, so you can follow along for that. My third goal was to finish writing the first draft of the novel that I started last year and to begin editing it. If you've missed some of my previous videos, back in November of 2022, I started writing a novel with the NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month Challenge. Throughout the month of November, I ended up writing 50,000 words of a novel, so pretty much half of my novel within that month. And so over the last 8 months or so, I've been working on that, and I am super excited to say that I have officially finished the first draft as of the last week of June, and I ended up writing 102,739 words in the first draft. So I'm just super stoked that I did that. That is such a big project. I think that's the biggest writing project I have ever embarked on. So I'm just super excited to say that I completed the first draft. Of course, it still has a lot of work to be done, a lot of editing and revising, which I'll continue to do throughout the end of this year, or through the rest of this year. But yeah, that's just super exciting, and I can't wait to see what happens with it as I continue chugging along and working on that project. My fourth goal was to send out a newsletter every month to my email subscribers, which I have been faithful to do. On the first of every month, I do send out a newsletter to anyone who subscribes through my website, to my email list, and I share what I'm reading, what I'm studying in the Bible, just some other personal updates, what I've been working on writing-wise. I also like to share Bible study tips and resources every month. Super fun email, and if you're interested in receiving that email, I'm going to put the link in the comments down below, so you can check that out and subscribe so that you can see the personal side of me a little bit more. Goal number 5 was to post on Instagram at least 3 times a week. So as of the time that I made my original video, I was a part of the Instagram Reel bonus program where I got paid based on the views that I got on my reels that I posted. Unfortunately, that program abruptly ended, and I didn't even realize it ended until I had already been cut off. So unfortunately, I'm not part of that program. I'm not able to make money on my reels anymore, which is a little sad. So that goal has changed a little bit. I do still have the goal of posting to Instagram at least 3 times a week. I try to post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but I did take a step back from the reels because reels, being videos, take a lot longer to create than just the photo posts. And also I heard that the algorithm changed and they're actually promoting more of the photo posts rather than the reels. So I switched up a little bit. Instead of doing mostly reels, I am doing mostly photo posts. I'm trying to do a more theology focused post on Mondays. I'll do a reel either about theology, Bible study, or books on Wednesdays. And then I also post something more bookish on Fridays. Something that has changed a little bit with my social media is that I've really pushed more into the Bookstagram side of Instagram with my posts, which you'll probably understand why when I talk about one of my last goals. So I'm posting a lot more about books and Christian books, and not doing as many reels as I had planned, but it's okay, you know, goals can change throughout the year, but I do look forward to continuing posting at least 3 times a week. My 6th goal was actually my reading goal for this year rather than strictly a writing goal. I originally, because for the past 2 years I have missed my goal, I haven't quite made it, I've fallen just short, so I wanted to make my goal super achievable this year, and so I set it for 30 books. As of July 3rd, I have officially read 50 books for the year, which 50 was the goal that I had last year that I missed because I only read, I think, 48 books for the whole year last year. So I had no expectations of already hitting 50 by the middle of the year. So I've completely blown my goal out of the water. I haven't set a new one yet because I kind of just want to see how many I can get without setting a specific goal. I would share what I've read, but because it is 50 and that's a lot, I figured I'd at least just show you my favorite read of every month, just so you can kind of get a glimpse into the things that I'm reading this year. So my favorite book for January was Counterfeit Kingdom by Holly Pivick and R. Douglas Skyvett. This is a Christian nonfiction book. It looks at the New Apostolic Reformation and specifically Bethel Church and just some of the teachings and practices that are going on there. That will really blow your mind if you've never looked into Bethel Church and the things that they teach or the things that they're doing during their services and things like that. This is just a very interesting and eye-opening read, and I very much enjoyed it at the beginning of this year. For February, my favorite book was 550 from Paddington by Agatha Christie. If you don't know, Agatha Christie is one of my favorite authors. She's actually she's sold the most books other than the Bible and Shakespeare, which is a pretty big deal. She writes a lot of mysteries that I just really love. You're probably familiar with Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile because movies have actually been made out of those books over the past few years. But yeah, I love Agatha Christie. I've read many of her books and I still have many on my TBR, and so I really enjoyed this mystery from her in February. In March, my favorite book was Under Fire by Lynn Blackburn. I really love Lynn Blackburn. She's become one of my favorite romantic suspense authors as of late. And so the funny story about this is that I actually got the first book out of the series. This is book 3. I got the first book of the series for free for doing a survey for the publisher. I had seen it, I'd heard of it. I had read her previous series back in 2019 and liked it. And so I got the book for free. And I didn't read it for a while. I finally read it and then I'm like, wow, this is so great. I have to immediately buy book 2. So I immediately bought book 2, read through it, loved it. And I knew that there was a book 3 coming out, that it wasn't out yet. And so I think this was back in probably October or November. And I looked it up and it didn't come out until March. And I couldn't believe that I had to wait a whole 5 or 6 months because I couldn't wait. Because the main characters, their relationship, their friendship is kind of already talked about in the first 2 books, and so you know at the end of book 2 that they're the ones going to be talked about, and there's just this tension between them and you don't understand why. And so I was just on pins and needles to get my hands on this book, and it finally came. And actually, when it came, I planned on reading something else. And literally when I got it, I started reading it that night because I could not wait. And it did not disappoint. It was a very, very good book. And if you've never read Lynn Blackburn before, you should. My top book for April was Blind Trust by Natalie Walters. Natalie's actually a newer author for me. I read her for the first time, I think back in November, in a novella collection with 3 romantic suspense authors. And I really enjoyed her. I'd never read her before and I enjoyed it, so I'm like, I should probably pick up some of her books. And then the publisher, Revel Fiction, actually reached out to me with a paid partnership opportunity, and they sent me this entire series, which is 3 books, a Snap Agency series as well as the prequel novella for me to read and post about on Instagram. And so I was super excited about that opportunity, and I actually really love these books, especially Blind Trust. This is book 3 in the series, and it's just really good, and there's this really good plot twist that absolutely blew my mind. And to really appreciate the plot twist the most, you need to read the novella first. So you should definitely pick up Natalie Walters' Snap Agency series, read the novella, read books 1 through 3, and then you will see the plot twist. It's really good. For May, my favorite book of the month was actually another Agatha Christie book, The Man in the Brown Suit. I loved this book. It has a very different feel from Agatha Christie's usual books. She usually writes pretty cozy mysteries, and this one really had more action and adventure, international intrigue, more romance, which I appreciate because I am definitely a hopeless romantic. I love the romance, and I thought it was really good in this one. Like, I was just on the edge of my seat. It was so good and so adventurous, and I loved it, and I think you will love it too. And my favorite book for June was Memory Lane by Becky Wade, which is a contemporary romance. This is the first Becky Wade book that I have read. She's written several other series. This is actually her first independently published book, so that was kind of neat. And I just really loved the story. I thought it was really sweet. A really sweet, good summer romance with some intrigue in it that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, you should check it out. So how did I end up reading 50 books in 6 months when I planned to read 30 books for the whole year, and I didn't even read 50 books throughout all of last year? I have some theories. For the past couple years, I have read more nonfiction than fiction, mostly because I focused a lot on putting out book reviews for my blog, which on my blog, all my book reviews are for Christian nonfiction books. And so in the past, I was reading a lot of nonfiction, but since I was stepping back from the blog a little bit, I really wanted to push into reading more fiction because I really personally just enjoy reading fiction more. That's just something I've always loved. So I'm reading more fiction, which I think is allowing me to get through books faster. And then also for this past month, for June, I went to the dark side because I typically only read physical copies of books, but I decided on a whim because I have a very long TBR pile and I'm like, I will never be able to get through all these books. I decided to start listening to audiobooks while I'm at work doing different projects that don't require much thinking. And then also doing ebooks, because at lunch, when I was like at my lunch break or just had a few minutes here and there, I would watch YouTube videos or scroll through social media. So I decided instead of that to have an ebook on my phone that I can scroll through, and so that helped me get through a lot of books. For June, I actually doubled the amount of books I had read for the past few months because of listening to audiobooks and reading ebooks. So I think those are a few reasons why I'm so far ahead. Also, at the beginning of this month, at the beginning of July, I decided to do a 24-hour reading challenge based on some other booktubers. I didn't do 24 consecutive hours because I did not think my sanity could handle that, but I did do 24 hours between like 2 days, and I got through 4.5 books, and it was about 1,500 or something pages, around that. I didn't video it for YouTube, but I did document it on my Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram, go through my story highlights, there's one that says 24 hours of reading. So you can check that out to see what I read, look at the progress I made. So between all those things, I think that's how I've managed to read so much, and I plan on continuing that and keeping up the momentum to read maybe even 50 more by the end of the year. Who knows, maybe we can hit 100. That would be awesome. And so because of this, because I've been reading so much, I've started following some other bookstagrammers on Instagram, and so I have started posting more about books, like I was saying with my last goal, because reading just makes me excited and I want to share that excitement with others. So yeah, we'll see how many books I manage to read by the end of the year. And my 7th and final goal, which was a little more nebulous than the other ones, not so concrete, was to pursue writing training, whatever that might look like. So far this year, which I mentioned in my last video, I did attend a writing retreat in Florence, Italy, with Felicia Masonheimer, who's one of my favorite Christian authors and Bible teachers, and that was just such a super good time. I was super anxious about the trip because it was the first time I was traveling internationally alone, but it went really well. Everything was smooth. I had no major flight delays, no flight cancellations. I had no issues with my hotel or transportation. The Lord really just blessed me on that trip, I think, because I had been so worried about it and so anxious about it. I think the Lord just kind of covered me with blessing throughout that week. And just even the other ladies who were on the trip, they were just amazing. They were great. We bonded so quickly. I think because we all have Jesus in common and we all have writing in common. And so we already had so many things to talk about and so many similarities between each other, yet also being so different and in so many different life stages and different kinds of writing. There were some fiction writers, some nonfiction writers, some songwriters, some people who are working on poetry, or some people who would like to write but just haven't had the time to do so. So that was just it was a super fun trip, a super fun time. It was so beautiful. The weather was absolutely perfect. I got a chance to meet Felicia Masonheimer and take pictures with her and have her sign my book, or sign my copy of her latest book, Every Woman a Theologian, which you should also check out that book. So that was just a really great experience. It wasn't so much teaching or training, but it was a lot of encouragement and time to work on some of my different writing projects. So I definitely loved that. In addition to that, I also signed up for Masterclass, which, if you've never heard of Masterclass, it's this website where there's different teachings and classes from all these different experts in their fields, and they help teach you just different skills and things. And so there are several courses on there for writers by different really well-known authors. So I ended up taking a masterclass by James Patterson, which I found super helpful, and he just really gave a lot of good reminders. I think it was a lot of stuff that, like, but that sometimes you just need to be reminded of, especially as you're working through writing and editing and all of that. There's a lot of good things to keep in mind as you're writing, as you're doing those things. And so I did finish that class, and I just started another one by David Baldacci, another class for writers and how to write suspense. So those have been really good. I usually watch a couple videos every weekend, and so I've enjoyed getting the chance to watch those. And then in my previous video, I had mentioned being interested in maybe going to a writers conference this year. I don't think I'm going to get the chance to do that, but I do have the chance to go to another writing retreat or writing intensive. I'm not sure exactly what the right word is for it, but I will be going to something with Dani Petrie, who is my favorite fiction author of all time. She writes romantic suspense, which is what I read a lot of and is also what I am writing with my novel. So I'm just super stoked to get the opportunity to meet her and spend time with her, and she will be teaching different classes on writing and editing and the publishing world and marketing and things like that. So I'm just really, really excited for that. I just can't believe that I'm going to be meeting and working with my favorite author and who's been such an inspiration to me in my writing. So that is in November, so I am very much looking forward to that and really hope that will help me be able to take the next steps as I am working on editing this novel, and would love to be able to pitch this to an agent or an editor for traditional publishing. So I really have high hopes that this will be super helpful to me and maybe even be able to propel me forward in the publishing journey. So that's my mid-year goal update for 2023. I think I'm doing pretty well my 2023 goals, all things considered, especially the reading goal. I've already nearly doubled that, which is just insane. So I look forward to continuing working on these goals. And if you want to see me as I continue working on this, you can subscribe to my website. You can follow me on Instagram because I'm posting a lot of updates there on my writing and my reading. If you want to see all the books I'm reading, I am posting those on Instagram and also on Goodreads. And on Goodreads, I am posting ratings and reviews for all of the books that I read. So for all 50 books I've read, I've done a rating and review. So you can go check those out on Goodreads. Just thank you for following along here. Again, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. Hit the bell icon for alerts. I haven't been great about posting more of these long form videos, but I am hoping in the future to hopefully do some more, maybe do some booktube videos, who knows? Let me know if you want to see some of that. But yeah, I hope you guys just have a great day and a great week. And if you have goals and resolutions, keep working on them. Do not give up. And let me know how you're doing on those. Let me know down in the comments. All right, bye.